Today on Made for the Outdoors. From a slough in rural Minnesota to countries far and wide, PPF Mud Motors helps folks get around. And then,
So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to get him defined in his shape.
we head into the garage.
People are passionate about outdoor equipment.
Get this. Americans spend $30 billion a year on gear.
But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
That's where we come in.
Made for the Outdoors. Made for the Outdoors is presented by Warner's Dock.
Welcome to Made for the Outdoors. It's summer in Hutchinson, Minnesota, which means that PPF is busy making their wood duck mud motor just in time for hunting season. Let's go inside and see how they're made for the outdoors.
The best products are those that fix a problem. PPF owner Jake Powell knows that from experience.
So I was always a big duck hunter with big mud boats, modified V-twins. And we'd have four-wheeler winches on the front. We'd be winching them into the ditch, winching them back out, like just put them in spots they shouldn't probably been in. And then I'm like, we got to get something different. Let's make some little motors. So I made two motors. I made one for me and one to sell on Craigslist at the time to pay for the parts for mine. I put it on Craigslist. I ended up having to sell them both the same day. So I kept building a couple more, kept selling, and then kind of graduated from that. Now I'm building them full time.
At PPF, Jake makes the wood duck mud motor full time. A job that starts with steel tubing. Don't let the steel fool you. These motors are light and agile.
They're about 60 pounds dry. About the lightest you can get up there.
Jake starts by cutting and marking the steel tubes that'll end up being our frame.
We're marking the bend lines. So when you got these lines on, you'll run them through the bender to that line. That one marked.
We've got the raw materials, we've cut them, marked them, and now it's time to bend. All right, I think I need you to show me one here before I use this machine.
Okay. So we cut them to length. We put our bend line where it needs to be bent. We're gonna run it in the die. You're gonna line up your bend line with the mark on the die that has 0 on it.
Nope.
You're gonna run in your counter die to 773.
That's the magic number there?
That's the magic number.
All right.
Then you just hit the pedal forward. When it's done, hit it reverse. Open the counter die, back that off a little bit.
You've got your perfect bend. It's my turn, going on a bender. Oh yeah, 773.
Oh, you gotta close this first. Back
I was
it
like,
up.
that feels like a really long way.
Yeah.
Well, I got one of 3 steps.
That's good, now swing her shut. There you go.
Okay, just like so.
Yeah, just get it to that thing. Perfect.
Oh yeah. So, and then this is all obviously just set, so you just have to hit the button. It's all dialed
Yep,
in
that's
there.
all computer controlled.
Okay. We're hitting the gas. So this piece that we just bent is going to be the upper support tube. So I know that we're making a motor start to finish today, but typically it's done in a little different way.
A little different, yep. So we'll cut and bend all our tube way before we start welding all the frames. We cut the tubes, bend them, and then we put them in some airtight barrels so they don't rust, and we keep a little lubrication on them. That way we can keep the parts as long as we need them, usually about all year, 6 months, and take them out as we need them.
There you go. All right, so we got to put these in storage. Then.
Yep.
To the barrels.
To the barrels.
Is this what I'm grabbing?
Yep. Many as you can.
I have small hands.
You put them in that top empty bucket here.
This one here?
Yep.
Yep. Woo. Also. All right. Hey-o. Cleaning up. Tough day in the shop. My manicurist is not going to be happy with me.
I'm gonna get cleaned up. We finish our mud motor and put it to the test when we get back. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Warner's Dock, Aquarius Home Services, Ice Castle Fish House and RV, Flow Trailers, and by Keystone Light. Keystone Light, always smooth. Celebrate responsibly.
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. Our PPF wood duck mud motor is halfway finished. Never heard of a mud motor? Well, it's a motor for mud. Better yet, I'll have PPF owner Jake Powell explain.
So mud motor is an air-cooled outboard motor for the most part. There's a couple different styles. I make a long tail. It's the ones that are just a straight shaft, direct drive, air-cooled motor. So you don't have to worry about plugging your cooling system up with sand or mud. They'll literally go right through mud, sand, weeds, rocks, whatever you want.
But the wood duck is useful far beyond the duck blind.
Utility companies buy them, DNR, sheriff's offices, fishermen, just anybody that needs to get to a spot that you can't get a regular outboard to.
To get the job done, our motor needs a rugged frame. Let's get welding.
Now we're going to put the main frame tube in. Clamp her down. We're going to put the skag on, and then we can start welding a little bit. So now we got our frame out of the fixture. We let it cool, we took it out, and now it's ready to weld the bottom side where we couldn't get to in the fixture.
The welded parts are sent out for powder coating, and when they're done, it's time to assemble.
Now we're going to put the drive shaft into the frame. A little grease on the bearing surfaces. There's grease all over anything. It's kind of a dirty assembly. Okay, now we're putting on the prop and the prop nuts. First stop nut on, then the prop, then the lock nut. So I can sell it if you got your own motor, you want to take off your neighbor's pressure washer or just happen to have one laying around. So I sell it in the frame kit. You can put your own engine on it, any 6.5 horse. Otherwise, I got 3 engine options. I got a Honda, a Briggs, or a Predator. Yep, I gotta tighten these 2 set screws and this heat shrink. Gotta shrink that down. That's it. You just drop that pin in the hole and you're done.
Well, the finished product looks pretty good. I say we hit the water outside. What do you think?
Let's go.
All right, to the backyard. Let's go.
We're in my backyard. We actually had the state came and backed this up for us so we could make it a little bigger wetland than it already was. So Not that we are always playing in here with mud boats, but it's cool to watch the ducks and everything else in here. So I got my dog Hank, he's usually my shop dog and show dog. So he's gonna go for a boat ride with me. He likes boat rides. Hank, here, here. All he wants to do is retrieve, no matter what it is. Let's go. Get in there. So I'm shipping them from Alaska to Florida. It's East Coast, West Coast. Farthest I've probably shipped is Venezuela and the Netherlands, which were kind of oddballs, but they shipped them over there. It costs about as much as the motor to ship them.
From this backyard slough in rural Minnesota to countries far and wide, PPF is getting people to places they couldn't have otherwise.
That was the plan. It fixed my problem, and I think it fixed a lot of other people's problems too.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Grain Belt Premium Beer, Finishing Trades Institute of the Upper Midwest, and by Ace Solid Waste.
Lake life defines us, but our love inevitably led to change.
Lakes, Minnesota, it's our culture. We love them, and invasive species are a threat to what we love about our lake.
Over time, we, the users, somehow introduced non-native plants and critters to many of our watery ecosystems. An act with consequences. But one man would never paint any picture of defeat. Gino Oko prefers to present hope in color. His larger-than-life message.
So I got involved with this project through freshwater stewardship, and I was interested. So I'm like, you know what, let's do it. It's to bring awareness to aqua invasive species. This is pretty much 95% done. So I've put in AIS because I feel as though, when someone sees it, on their boat or on their sail, they, like, out of curiosity, is what is that? What does it mean? And I like the message behind it and what it's for.
For an aquatic spectacle that attracts a weekend crowd.
We just lucked out with today. I thought we were going to get stormed out. Really thank you for coming down and celebrating with us. The focus of this project really started with our interactions with the lake and aquatic invasive species, but making sure we brought a diverse voice and diverse artists here to share that experience with you, to connect us to our history and to our lake and our actions on Lake Minnetonka.
A grant project to educate people on invasive species. 5 colorful sails.
Very excited.
It's really cool to see them in their actual purpose.
The work of 5 creative minds.
I'm very excited. These sails turned out gorgeous, and the artists were having so much fun.
I enjoy fishing for carp, even though they're an invasive species, so I wanted to highlight them as my focal point.
They've done murals and things before, but an odd-shaped canvas with inks that nobody's ever touched before.
It definitely absorbed ink a little bit more than a typical canvas would. We didn't get any white paint, so there was no erasing.
Just amazing.
The artist told us a little bit about it, and with the fish, and how important it is that we keep our nature clean.
A message best understood
Let's go sailing
on the water Seems everyone wants a ride.
Come here, baby. It looks very artsy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very lovely. I'm glad the wind is picking up. So.
Sandra Alb sails with the new AIS billboards.
They are the exact same branding as our usual sails, so it's just like sailing normal, but with water to look at.
The art of a message inspired by nature's need for our help.
Everybody loves enjoying our lakes, and for them to, stay what we're used to, being comfortable to swim in, fish, ski, sail, enjoy those lakes. The aquatic invasive species really changed how our lakes operate. Being able to even just raise awareness for people to understand that that's an issue is a big deal.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Warner's Dock and by Guy Metals.
Oh my gosh, he's huge. Look at this. Isn't he amazing?
Becky Albright believes that every fish has a tail,
Look at this dorsal fin.
and she likes to save them.
I kind of memorialize the fish, I think, saving not only its shape and size, but all these wonderful details.
In her backyard studio, a unique fish transformation process begins.
So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to get him defined in his shape.
Becky's a Gyotaku fish artist.
Gyotaku is 2 words. G-Y-O is fish. T-A-K-U is rubbing or impression.
Gyotaku prints date back to the mid-1800s.
It's a very old Japanese printmaking technique that the fishermen would use to capture the size of their fish catch for the emperor.
But the Japanese anglers that created them weren't trying to make art.
No, not at all. They just wanted to capture the fish to prove what they did.
That's because a few local fishermen were caught stretching the truth. Go figure.
And then people started noticing it and saying, that's pretty cool, let's add an eye and it can become art.
Becky's eye saw the art and, well, she was hooked.
I probably take more time to de-slime it to make sure that the print does not smell like fish. Little fan sometimes helps. Do we want them to look natural? Do we want them to be black like the traditional Gyotaku? Should we do one of each? This is the big decision time, see?
Becky's color palette changes with every fish.
It's up to me to try to put the paint on it and rub it in a way to pull out those details. But nature has done the magic.
Nature's magic inspires Becky's creativity.
It's a good outlet for stress release, and time just flies. Now I have to work undercover, so to speak, because I can't really see what I'm doing. So you go by feel. Once you put your paper on, you cannot move it. Hold your breath. Oh, he's pretty pink. Not good.
Call it catch and release.
Not everyone is a keeper, but the second one usually turns out better. Are you ready for the reveal? Ta-da! There he is.
Second time's the charm.
Too much ink up in the head.
And the third time, too.
There they are, the twins. To me, the magic of Gyotaku is to reveal what that fish's beauty is through its whole definition. And then I go in and I do the outer rim, the color,
After making the finishing touches, Becky applies her official stamp of approval.
It is my name in kanji calligraphy.
Another Japanese Gyotaku tradition. Her signature prints can be found a few miles away at the Ottertail County Museum. Here, Becky's fish art hangs proudly on display.
Oh, they all pretty much have a story. Every fish has a tale came about because of people like Eunice, 94 years old, who caught this wonderful crappie, 14-inch. This is their forever piece of memory work.
After all, every fish has a tale. Becky's Gyotaku fish art preserves them forever.